You can't afford to be that person for yourself. Listen, I know you've been very hard on yourself, and you're no stranger to having incredible expectations for yourself and for people around you as well. And right now you have been doing so much for so long with almost no recognition. It's as if people don't really notice, or you don't feel like they notice. You've been trying, but you're not getting exactly the results that you've been wanting. And that's okay to feel that way. What is not okay is not trusting that these things will come. Even if you're not seeing them right now, it doesn't mean that it's not on the way. Come on, we had that conversation before. And yeah, we can talk about instant gratification or long-term gratification. But what I'm really saying here is that you are doing what you are doing because you have a purpose. Because you understand that there is something for you to fulfill in this life. I know my candle is going crazy, crazy, crazy candle. Nonetheless, it's okay to feel exhausted. Like I said, you've been doing so much. You've been putting the efforts. And you have the right to feel the way that you feel. But trying to push yourself in that state of mind to make things happen quicker, faster, won't help you, because right now you are already at your cap. What you really need is to relax a little bit, because your thoughts are all over the place. They're cluttered. Your head feels like a box that contains your brain, in which there's so many cluttered ideas and feelings and ideas and feelings. And that's not you. That's the result of you trying really hard. You being exhausted. You being tired. You being anxious. And these things are completely separated from your purpose. It will continue to happen again. Life's going to continue to test you, I promise you. It will continue to send you these mixed signals. It's going to continue to test you. It will. And when you feel tired, when you feel exhausted, when you feel unmotivated, just know that it has nothing to do with the mission or the bigger picture. It's your body right now needing your attention. Your body is talking to you, and it's trying to tell you something. Your job is to listen. And sometimes we think that by doing so, we are reducing the speed at which we are going to reach our goals or achieve that mission, achieve that purpose. But if you don't take care of your thoughts, your heart, and everything that allows you to live, there is no purpose that will ever see life on earth. Because if you are unhealthy, if you are constantly anxious, you are not in the state of mind to be creative. And it is okay for you to understand that your purpose needs you. You are needed. You are so important. You are valuable. You are on your timing. Everything will be as it must, all in due time. Everything will be as it must, all in due time. You are not slowing down. You're taking care of the engine. What is going to take you to the purpose. And you need to do it. Therefore, it's a part of the process. And don't start to be like these people that only want the result, but they don't want the process. You can't afford to be that person for yourself, because your purpose is built, polished, and made just like it must in the process. By trying to be only the result, you are running away from the exact thing that's going to take you there. And right now, you might think you can afford to take a little bit of time, and take care of yourself. But that might just be your next breakthrough, and that might just be the missing piece to your purpose. You're not unmotivated. You are tired. You're exhausted sometimes, and sometimes you're energetic. That has nothing to do with your purpose. That is what you need to pay attention to. Don't always listen to what your brain is telling you. Sometimes you must tap into feeling. And right now might just be the time. What you resist, persist. Do not fight yourself for things you can't control. Don't try to speed up things when they're not even moving. Sometimes you have to step back to jump forward. You don't know when your timing will be. Therefore, you don't have to worry about it. Being productive can be easier than resting. Being alone in your thoughts can just be harder than writing down a paper, doing a service to a friend, making yourself useful. But once you take the time and you stop a little bit to see what's there, you already have more wisdom that will completely help you in your purpose, in your why, in your motivation. Don't quit. Well, that's the thing. It's because you don't really see yourself as someone who rests. And all of your previous identity was built into productivity and being as productive as possible. And do you seriously thought you could just keep on going and being just a machine for the rest of your life? You don't seriously mean that, do you? Do you? I'm sorry for making fun of you. I'm sorry for making fun of you. I mean, hey, I think it's a nice thought to have, but in order for you to recharge and come back stronger, don't you think there needs to be kind of a balance? A little balance, maybe? I mean, look, right now the reality is that you're exhausted and overworking yourself. When you feel that way, it is going to make you feel worse about your work, when in reality, your work is not the problem, and you're not doing less. It's just that your body wants you to rest. Seriously, rest. And you've never seen yourself from that lens before, so it's okay for it to feel almost difficult to let go of this identity of just being your productivity levels. But I'm sure this is happening for your greater good and my greater good too. Because that way you can better your relationship with yourself. Really take time for you. And when you feel good about yourself, then I'm happy. And everyone around you is happy. Okay? Good. Very good, okay? I know it's difficult, but just the fact that you're trying is amazing. And thank you for pushing through this new identity of yours. And everything that's new. Exactly. Everything that's new is gonna feel weird at first. It's like, but do I even deserve to rest right now? As if you're not human and you don't actually need it biologically, you know? But I get you. Society gets into your brain. I mean, in mine too. And it feeds on these ideas that if we're not productive enough, then our worth is below zero. Like if we're not doing things, we are wasting our time. But tell me how it feels when you force yourself to do something and you have no more energy to give, and you feel like you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing with your time. That's the worst feeling. And we're told to be so grateful, and that gratefulness is represented by happiness, and that without happiness, gratefulness cannot exist. But in reality, when you feel off, when you need a break, when you are almost at your limit, you do not need to reach your limit to be valid in this deep need for rest. And you know what's funny? Is that showing real gratefulness about how you feel and who you are and where you're going and how your past experiences made you feel. You know how you show gratefulness for that? Yeah, that's an option. But I also mean, yeah, that's an option. But what is real gratefulness is to surrender. Accept what is, because life is trying to tell you something. You think you're feeling that way because you're crazy? Because you're weak? No. Something way better is just around the corner for you. And life is preparing you for it by slowing down, slowing down, slowing down your process so that you can reflect, rejuvenate, think about everything you've done and how it has served you up until that point. Did it serve you good? Was it a positive experience? Is there anything you'd want to change? And when you pause for a minute to think, oh, I know you think all the time, but I mean thinking with purpose here. Thinking with purpose. Yeah, I have a little hard time pronouncing some words. Thinking with purpose means willingly sitting down and thinking about one specific thing for an extended amount of time. That way you train yourself to be mindful of what you're thinking about and how you think about it. And you can think about this one. How come you feel uncomfortable resting? And why is it that your whole is based around your productivity levels. No, it's not just a you thing. And please don't blame yourself for whatever answer come across. The goal is not to shame you in any way or to make you feel bad for thinking that way. But look where it brought you. By exhausting yourself, by working so hard that you barely can enjoy anything you're working for. What led you there? Why are you exhausting yourself? Why are you pushing yourself to your limits? Make sure the reason is good enough. And if it's your choice and you have a good reason to, try to remind yourself of that reason as often as possible. Because our brains forget. If I'm asking you to look for a green item right now in the room, yeah, you're gonna show me this plant, and this one too, and this one too, and this one too. Because I put your focus there. Oh, and my top too. It's green. But the minute you disengage with the focus of finding something green, you're less likely to put your attention on it. And if you put your attention on either the reason you're going so hard or maybe the reason you need to rest, maybe for the first time in your life, you can find meaning in it. And the way you find meaning in it is by making it a choice. It becomes then your work of art to find a way that is A, possible for you to rest, and you can remind yourself of why you're doing it so you feel purpose in it. It's not just you being lazy, even though it never was about you being lazy to begin. But we've been trained to think that way for so long. Your value is in how much you can do and how long can you do it for, and how fast, how quick. And while this can serve you in the beginning, if you are awake enough, one day you'll realize that it's not fulfilling anymore because you trust yourself to be able to do all of these things. You know yourself to be capable because you have proof. And you trust yourself to keep going because you got yourself. And so when you have that proof and when you're ready for something more, that is usually when you feel that need to rest. Because life is preparing you for something much bigger. When you have faith in yourself, when you trust yourself, and you know yourself to be capable of going as hard as you need to, then it's not about, can I do it? It then becomes, what am I doing for? For who am I doing this? What am I doing this for? And when you have faith in yourself, when you know that you'll get everything you deserve, when it's a belief deeply ingrained in your heart, when you know yourself to be worthy of all it is that you really want, the race doesn't exist anymore. What is a race when you've already won? What is a race when everyone has their timing? Who are you trying to beat? Who will actually care that you win? If you don't care about your rest, if you don't care about your well-being, who cares that you win? You got yourself sick for it. It doesn't come from a place of love. It's not as good as it could be. You didn't respect yourself in the process. You didn't respect your own boundaries and your own limits. So really, who cared that you won this invisible war, this invisible race that you created for yourself in order to motivate you to keep going? Because you were not enough, and you never truly intended to give yourself everything you really wanted. You needed to push yourself away. Spend as little time in your head as possible to avoid the tremendous pain of realizing that all along you were never doing it for yourself. And therefore, who cares if you win? And while this is a little harsh to hear, I prefer telling you the truth. I prefer telling you the truth, the honest truth. Everything from the bottom of my heart, so that one day you thank me. And look, if it's not right now, you don't have to believe me. It's okay. You're going at your own pace. But you are so worthy of everything you want. And how do you know that? By your actions. If you've been putting good in the world, if you've been good to others, if you've been trying to become the person you felt the need to be, going to sleep. Talk about perfect timing. Perfect timing. So you would say that you've been self-improving. Am I correct? I absolutely love the concept of self-improving, but I gotta tell you a few things that you must keep in mind. You must be very careful not and you must make sure that you are self-improving for yourself. You must make sure that you are self-improving for yourself. I get it, it can be a little bit tricky sometimes, but the more you want to change something, the more you have to make sure that you accept, 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 accept it first. Accept it first. And you want to make sure that you accept it first so that you improve something from a place of love, a place of love, a place of love, a place of love. You can understand what needs to be changed by other feelings as well. I mean, when you want to change something, it's not usually because you love it, right? When you want to change something, it's not usually because you love So, when you notice that you don't like something about yourself, or you want to change something about yourself, that doesn't have to come from a place of love, but the process in which you'll embark yourself to change it will require you to be able to love yourself in That's a good question. Why would you need to accept something that you want to change, you know? I feel that. And what you need to accept is not the thing, it's the place it's coming from. See, what you want to change, you don't need to love, but you must love yourself enough to trust yourself, to go through the process and do it for you. That no matter what happens, and no matter how difficult the process goes, that you love yourself to go all the way and give yourself the gift of a process that involves certainty. Patience, patience, patience. Patience is certainty. And of course, as little expectations as possible. And that's important because your worth isn't based on the result. And your worth is not really based on self-improving or not. Your worth is already there. Let me use another word. The real value in self-improvement, it's the fact that you questioned your lens, your reality, your perception. It's the fact that you questioned. It's in the process and not in the result, as once you get the results, you're gonna want something more. I know it may not seem like that right now, but trust me, the real value of self-improvement lays in the process, no matter where you end up. As questioning yourself can be a little bit more frequent. These big terms, yeah. What are you going to do with your life? What is it that you want to do with your life? Life will show you what your purpose is. And before figuring out what it is, you're still very valid. Before knowing exactly what you're going to do in your life, you deserve peace of mind. Well, you're right. It's hard, it's difficult, it's kind of both. But also, if you don't have peace of mind in your experiences, then you're never truly experiencing all the opportunities for you to figure out your purpose. What is a purpose? Well, a purpose is something that you feel called to do. It's like a mission. It's your role in life, since you are a part of life itself. It's not your life, it's life, and you're just a part of it. So be mindful when people tell you what you should do with your life. It's something for you to feel. It's something for you to experience. And until you know, you can rest in the knowing that you don't know. And when you accept that you don't know, that's when you purposefully look around with a different lens. You look at the same things, but you have a different lens. Instead of thinking, I should know what my purpose is right now. Why do I not know? How come these people know? How come I don't know? You're coming at it from a lens of being immersed, being fully into the experience, and you give yourself a chance suddenly at being normal, human, and doing the mistakes. I know. That's one of the truest things I've ever heard. People encourage you to make mistakes, but given the opportunity to try something new or to make a mistake, most people wouldn't take it. You know what I mean? So the fact that you are uncomfortable right now, the fact that you feel like there is more and you just can't tell yet what it is, shows that you're on the right path. There is indeed more for you. But trying to figure out ahead of time exactly what it is only takes your mental space. And since you've been into a transition phase, I figured this is something you must hear. Exactly, people won't tell you that because we as humans, and that's just normal, we want to know. We need an answer. We need to make sense of things. And when our destiny isn't aligned and we can't tell ahead of time exactly what's going to unfold, it doesn't make you careless. It doesn't make you crazy. As long as every day You feel like you are being true to yourself in everything that you do. You feel the passion in your heart. You feel the love, or at least the desire, the genuine desire to fulfill yourself. And the worst part is that these people think that they have your best interest at heart by doing so. I assure you they do. And they might. They probably actually have your best interest at heart. But their perspective of your life is reduced or limited to what they can envision for themselves. And that gut feeling that you have, that passion of yours, the thing that comes so easily and naturally to you, no matter how you do it, you'll find a way to make it work for you. And you need to hear this also, because a lot of people project their insecurities in life. You'll never be able to do that. You can't possibly be thinking that you'll be able to make it, figure it out. What if it fails? And it's important to understand that by saying that, people think that they're being nice and caring to you. But it is your responsibility to not take any of that seriously. And every day to follow your heart, to follow your calling, and it will all make sense. And one day it will all make sense. Yeah, and the way that it will make sense in the future probably wouldn't make sense to you right now. Where you're at right now doesn't allow you to comprehend your full potential. So don't try to create it out of nothing. Jump into experiences, release the pressure of knowing exactly what we deserve. And I want to start by telling you the difference between an expectation in comparison to a standard, so it's out of the way. An expectation is something that you want someone to do for you, and if they don't, you feel a certain way, you feel disappointed, you will take offense to it, you assume that someone will do something based on your interpretation of what they should do. So it's about them. An expectation is about the other person, whereas a standard is about you. And we'll get more into how to define your standards and what your standards are. If you're not sure, I can help you with that. But just to explain it shortly, a standard is a requirement. It's something that if it's not done, a certain part of you cannot feel comfortable, safe, happy, or maybe your standards, if they're not met, will mean that you just can't be there. So like in your work environment, the standard would be that you do your work. And the way you do it depends on the place you work at and their own guidelines and the way that they operate. But the standard is that you get the work done and that you submit it. And there is requirements for you to do that. So maybe it's having the right equipment, having a good communication team, being helped by other people. So you see what I'm saying? Versus an expectation at work would be what is kind of like in that standard in a sense. So you're expected to be respectful, you're expected to be kind, you're expected to be communicative. And there's also like these false expectations where it could be, well, I expect everyone to do the work for me kind of thing. And there could also be poor expectations and poor standards. So maybe your workplace doesn't pay you enough, doesn't provide you the equipment. That would be a poor standard to operate in. And there could be poor expectations. So it's not just that you are expected to be kind and respectful, it's that you are expected to bring a coffee every day to everyone, dress a certain way. Let's bring in something ridiculous like compliment everybody every 10 minutes. That could be like an expectation. So like a standard is the foundation you work on, and the expectations are the added functionality in the standard. Okay? So it sounds complicated, but it's really not that complicated. I just honestly kind of overcomplicated a little bit. Let me bring you to a more simple way to see it. So let's say your work environment, the standard is that you have the proper equipment to work, or else you can't work. That's your standard. And in that standard, you have certain expectations. So in a proper workplace that works in a certain way, you might be expected to send your documents for a review when they're done. You might be expected to communicate before sending an email. I don't know what the expectations would be, but those are like pretty normal standards and expectations. But there is also, like I said, poor expectations and poor standards, where you would get in the workplace being like, no, it's okay. I don't need like a proper computer to work. I'm fine. Just like put me in this little dark corner. It's fine. No, don't pay me. Like that's fine. I don't care. Like, and the expectation would be for yourself to put on yourself, to be like extra kind to everybody, extra nice to everybody, when you don't receive any of that. So that's an example. And I made it work related to the best of my capacity, because we often see these terms in relationships. And I feel like it's easier to put an example in a workspace, because we can all agree that there is some kind of baseline, some kind of universal kind of needs in a workspace, and some needs that might just be unnecessary, like having someone to rub your feet every time you work. Let's take the work element out of it. What we can keep is that you might, as a person, have certain standards. Let's say you're not gonna talk and engage to someone if they're disrespectful to you. You're not expecting them to be respectful. What you do is that if you see that they're not, you disengage, because you know yourself to be worth much better, much more. Whereas having an expectation of people being respectful is being surprised when you come across disrespectful people and taking it personally and asking to yourself, like, why aren't people all respectful? And you might go all the way to explain to that person, like, listen, you are being disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. And this is why we say speak less, because a lot of the time, the people that are disrespectful to you, they can't hear you yet. clearly to be disrespectful to you, they do not value you that much. They see you as another person, maybe less than that. And it's not that your explanation to them isn't valid. It's just that sometimes they don't have the capacity to hear it properly, to understand it, and not just hear it. So this is why we associate having expectations in relationships to disappointment. The reason we associate expectations to disappointment is it's because we're expecting people to be the way that we need them to be or we want them to be, and we are putting these expectations on the wrong person. So let's say that, back to like my work example, you're at work and your expectation is to always communicate before sending an email. You don't get at home to maybe your parents and ask them, can I send this email? It's not that the expectation isn't good anymore. It's just that it has its place. It requires a certain type of people and it requires a certain context to be valid. And a lot of people, I hate to say it, but they suck. And it's not to be negative, it's just to acknowledge that if a lot of people suck, it means that you can't expect everyone to understand your expectations because they have different expectations, especially in relationships, especially in friendships, or just in communications all in all. And to be fair, it's not anyone's fault specifically when we don't even address emotional intelligence in school, or how to behave around other people, or how to communicate how we feel, how to understand how we feel. We have a huge lack in these areas, And so I feel like it comes from a good place, wanting people to be the best they can be the best humans they can be respectful, be kind. But the reality is that a lot of people simply are not. And you can't afford to be disappointed every time it happens, because you can control your energy. So that's my second point. Expectations, they're a little tricky when they're outside of a professional context or a context that is clear and has a good rational foundation to it. But expectations when it comes to relationships, they're a little more tricky because sometimes we're asking the wrong person all of the right things. And when we don't know how to communicate, what happens is that we wait for these things to happen and we're thinking maybe it's going to happen, maybe it's going to happen. And because we don't know how to clearly communicate, which I don't blame you, it's like it's a real struggle out there, we remain with that misery in our hearts and we're thinking like, why do they not do it? Like, how come they don't get me like that? Like, do I need to do something else? And sometimes you get in that inner battle of even questioning, like, am I asking for too much? Am I too much? And not only are you not asking directly, but also you put the blame on yourself. And like I said, a lot of people suck, so learn to value yourself and to understand who deserves your attention. Now, back to standards. Standards are the way you operate. So like I said, if someone disrespects you, you are not going to engage or talk back or get in that zone because your standards are above that. It's the bare minimum for you. Like if someone is being mean to you, They are already below you 100%. They're digging. They're digging in the sand. They're below, way below. And your responsibility is to hold yourself accountable to your emotional maturity in that moment and decide to not engage. Do not engage. That's when you respect your standards. And by doing a non-action, you're actually doing an action, which is respecting yourself. Truly, truly to the core. Now, in relationships, maybe your standards are you want someone that really knows what they want, and that doesn't take like 6 months to know what they want. Why? You gotta ask yourself why. Well, maybe it's because you know what you want pretty fast. And so you want someone, a partner that's gonna match that energy. Is it valid? Yes. Because if that doesn't happen, you might get insecure. You might start to think that you guys don't want the same things. You have a different personality type that really affects the dynamic of a relationship at the end of the day. And so your responsibility is to hold onto your standards and never lower them, because it's going to catch up to you. You might try to do the exception of like, for you, I will transgress my standards. But the reality is that at the end of it, you feel bad about yourself because you know that it does not allow you to be the best partner possible. And it's not a compromise that's worth making in the beginning of a relationship. You know, once you're in a relationship, like 6 months, like a year, of course, like do the compromises. There needs to be a lot of compromises, matter of fact. But this is how you understand what your standards are, okay? And like I said, the standards that you have, you don't just create them out of thin air. Like you heard this person talk about what a relationship should be, and then that became your standards. That's just not how it works, and you need to learn to think for yourself. A must. So realistically, your standards are the way that you already treat yourself. When you are alone, when no one is watching, when you're sick, when you're sad, when you're happy, the things that you allow yourself to do, the things that you allow yourself to want, those are your standards. Basically, the way you treat yourself already shows you the level of care, attention that you would want someone to have in your life. Because if someone enters your life, they must top that. Anything you're giving to yourself, if they're doing less, you're going to feel like you're in a parent situation, like you're taking care of them, or that they're a burden to you. Because every time they're there, you need to baby them, you need to think for them, you need to take care of them. And your quality of a life significantly drops because someone then completely relies on you, has no self-autonomy, self-efficacy, self-trust, self-love, and they're asking you to be all that. If you already know how to be good on your own, how to treat yourself, how to really love yourself and value yourself, then you are going to radiate that energy, that vibration. And the people that see that vibration understand that they must match it at least or top it to be around you. And that's how it works. When you get with people and they feel insecure around you, and they let you know, like, hey, I feel insecure around you. Like, those are cues that and I mean, without you doing anything to make them feel insecure, okay? You just existing, you just having fun, and you including them makes them feel like they're being unmasked or seen in a light that's not good. Like, take it as a sign, like they just do not vibrate to your frequency, and that's not a bad thing. It's gonna happen. But this is a disease. You must surround yourself with people that are at least matching your vibration or higher. Because the people that are lower might feel intimidated by you, might resent you, might feel jealous of you, and those are levels of vibrations that are going to pull you into a hole of babying others and having a relationship in which you can't expand fully. You can only help others to expand. All of that to say that standards and expectations are two very different things. And I want you to know that most of the time we are disappointed when we have expectations, not because we have them, but because we're asking the wrong people to be something they're not. And we drink the poison. We make ourselves sad because how dare that they are not how we want them to be. Whereas standards is simply what's required. What do you need? What do you want to be engaging with someone? It's like your foundation, it's your baseline, it's your requirements. And your standards are created by the way you treat yourself, the way you talk to yourself, the way you see yourself. And since you create your standards for yourself, people feel that energy. They feel that vibration. So if you don't value yourself at all, what people are going to see is that they can walk all over you. And trust me, they will. That's the thing. They will walk all over you. Not because you're a bad person, not because you deserve that, but because some people just suck. It's very simple. And so your job is to see, how do you treat yourself? How do you talk to yourself? How do you show up for yourself? And which kind of people do you allow in your life? And if they are actually elevating your vibration, your frequency. I want you to think about this because that is so important in life. I know in school we talk about maths, we talk about art, we talk about history, we talk about science, but these